would become the sacrifice. But he had to also see, as a man, should I die unto sin, Abba's going to come and conquer my death. That's the only way he could have found trust born in him.
Sure.
So he saw that in the law. He saw all those things declared. The first fruits, he saw that was speaking of the resurrection.
Yeah.
He saw that was speaking of his resurrection. He saw, I'll be the first fruit of the people of God. I'll be the firstborn from the dead. So when Jesus read the first fruit, Jesus didn't think about how I need to go give God an offering. I need to give God my best offering. I need to give God everything so I can have a good year.
Yeah.
Jesus looked at the first fruit and he saw it speaking of the resurrection, and he saw it speaking of his resurrection. And he saw it speaking of how Abba would not leave his soul in Hades, but Abba would raise him from the dead, and he would be the first fruit unto God because he'd be the firstborn human being from the dead. He'd be the first human being clothed with glory and immortality. He would be the first fruit.
Wow.
So do you see how he read first fruit?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
It spoke to him about how Abba would raise him from the dead.
Yeah.
It talked about the resurrection.
Whoa.
That's what he saw.
Wow.
But we see, we got to give our best offering in January unless we're not blessed the rest of the year, man. Listen, if we never define the blessing of God carnally, we could never be confused about that.
Sure. Right. You'd never even think of that.
I mean, I preached some of these subtle nuances, but when I preached about the blessing of God not being carnal, it wasn't to say we can't see some good things happen in this world. It was to not get our eyes focused on carnal things as if that was the blessing.
Right.
Because if we get focused on carnal things as if they are the blessing, it's very easy to now stumble and find yourself thinking about carnal principles. If you define life carnally, then your logic is going to be found in carnality.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, listen, what can happen is, as I grow in the wisdom of God, and when I say that, it sounds very like formulaic. As I grow in my seeing of Abba, and then I grow in my seeing of me, I'm going to grow in favor or experiential knowledge of the life of God. That's going to cause me to grow in favor with people. Meaning, man, because the life of God is pouring out of me on people, man, people may give unto me, people may bless my ministry, people may spread our stuff, people may love me, they want to do things for me, all that kind of stuff. And so we could see some type of, good thing manifest. But that is not to be confused with the blessing of God.
Right.
Otherwise, you fall into this thing where you're defining your life as being blessed or not by carnality.
It's back to the fruit.
Right. It leaves you fruit inspecting.
Yes. Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, yeah, listen, if I'm walking around filled with all love, man, and out of being filled with all love, the compassion of God comes pouring out of me towards some people, maybe their freaking life has changed, and they just feel something in them for me because of that. And so they do something to bless me. I've grown in favor with them now.
Sure, right.
And so now we could say, maybe somebody come and give me a big freaking house. Maybe I didn't have a house, and they come and give me a house, man. We can't say that's the blessing of God.
No. We do, but we shouldn't.
But do we see how that could come from
yes.
the life of God?
Yes,
but
yes.
then we don't define life that way.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
where it gets.
That's a key point.
It's a key nuance.
Yep. Absolutely is.
There.